Allow me, Mr. Deputy Rector Magnificus, to offer my congratulations and to pass my judgment. Dear Dr. Ndubi, dear Jessica, congratulations on receiving your doctorate. You've satisfied the committee and you hold the proof in your hands. The judgment of the committee was that the thesis was acceptable and the defence was also acceptable. In your acknowledgements at the outset of the thesis, you make eloquently clear that you found the pathway to a PhD far from easy, and your success today was not achieved without struggle and the summoning of much fortitude and determination. Even at the end, you had to rise to the challenge of some quite serious criticism, but in making some called-for emendations, the thesis was thereby immeasurably improved. You and I can now look through it and enjoy what we see and read. The thesis is one that I shall certainly take back to Africa with me. This is because it implements one of my deepest hopes I had for the social study of technology when I first took up my chair in this university. Since this is perhaps, and maybe thankfully, the last time I will stand in this aula to deliver a judgment, it being 5 years and 7 months since I retired, and there being only a few hours before midnight strikes and I turn into 6 rats and a pumpkin, if I remember the story of Assapusta well, maybe I can be indulged for a moment in explaining why I think your thesis is of interest in African universities. The issue, as you will have guessed, is technography, which you carefully explain in the thesis is the meticulous contextual description of technologies in use by people and often by groups of people. This usage, you further explain, is often distributed across a social group or social groups. Technography painstakingly documents complex, cooperative technical activity. To understand why technologies succeed or fail, we must pay careful attention to these complex, cooperative relationships of usage and why and how they sometimes work and why other times they fail. In a technological university, too much emphasis almost inevitably gets placed on the new. Discovery and innovation justify the existence of many of us. But my subject was technology, the art or craft or science, if you will, of making. No tool, device, machine or process can be properly understood without knowing how it comports with users. Let me, for the unconvinced, give a brief example. Like most residents of this country, I ride a bike every day. I received my first bike on my 8th birthday, and it cost my father £2 second-hand, to be made before the Second World War and resembled the Sunbeam bike ridden by the famous English composer Edward Elgar. He used his machine to roam the lanes of Worcestershire, seeking musical inspiration for a symphony he was writing to memorialise the death of General Gordon in Khartoum at the very beginning of the colonial era in Africa. I too roamed far and wide seeking inspiration on my bike for I forget what. The other day, 62 years later, I bought a new bike, but only for the same reason I've ever bought a new bike, because my previous one was worn out. I didn't buy it because it was an innovation. It rides no differently from the one I remember riding as a boy, and for all I know, no differently from the one that Edward Elgar rode not long after the Battle of Omdurman. In fact, I noticed something important about bikes. Over the years, they seem to get slower. That's the point. You will not fully understand bikes if you think about them from a perspective of novelty. But if you think about them from the perspective of the rider, then you will know straight away why my bikes have been getting slower for the past 62 years. I'm getting older. So that's the secret of technography. It forces you to face up to the truth of technology from the perspective of usage. Technography is the discipline that keeps the technologist honest. I once had a photograph I kept for teaching purposes of an old tractor in a village in Nigeria. It had no wheels. Why was it there? The answer was provided by the pipe leading to the fuel tank from the roof of the adjacent house. It collected rainwater, and there was a handy fuel drain cock to allow water to be drawn off. Your thesis is like that photograph. It allows us to see technology in human use, irrespective of feverish claim and counterclaim about biotechnology and so forth. This is what people do with banana suckers, with seed potatoes, and with many other agricultural inputs, and how their complex agency is combined to achieve good or perverse results. To be able to see the world with this degree of honesty requires hard work and self-discipline, and at times courts not a little frustration, since not everyone welcomes a description of what can be seen through the emperor's new clothes. But you provided me with a good example to speed me on my way. It is one I'll certainly use in trying to lay the foundations in Wageningen University of a PhD tradition that seeks to confront the wishful thinking of development discourse with some grounded description of what people actually do. As my last thesis in this university, it's a gift I shall cherish. I'll now hand over